Hey everyone, it's Michael, and I have a really creepy coincidence to share with you guys. Today I'm going to be talking about my first review for a Goosebumps TV episode. And I want to do this episode by episode, but I'm not going to do it super frequently or very commonly because there's so many books that I haven't read, and I don't want to spoil myself too bad. Some of these vary very much from the books, but still, I wanted to talk to you about one that I'm very, very passionate about. It just so happens this was released on July 20th of 1997. I was closing in on 3 years old, as about that November. But the creepy thing, tomorrow is the 20th of July of 2019. I did not plan this. I swear to God, I did not plan on this. And it is so weird and so creepy to me. I don't have words. So I just thought I would share that with you as I start off this review for Goosebumps Night of the Living Dummy 3 from the TV show, like I said. Now, I did not see this on DVD for the first time. I firmly believe that what got me into Goosebumps was the episode, or episodes, because it's a two-parter, 45 minutes long in total, I believe, of Night of the Living Dummy 3. And I believe it was because of the VHS box DVD, or not DVD, the VHS cassette tape thing that we used to have for you youngsters who don't know about that. Back in Hollywood Video, which was our rental store that my family always went to. We weren't big Blockbuster people, we just weren't. But Hollywood Video, the one that we had, was awesome. If you liked Hollywood Video, let me know down below. I'm pretty firmly convinced that between The Haunted Mask and this, that those two are what got me into this. It's very possible that Night of the Living Dummy 3 was the first ever Goosebumps thing I ever saw. I'm almost confident of that, because I was so young. I was born in 94. I wasn't there for the big boom of Goosebumps in 92 and all that. I put it like it's a World War type thing. That was weird. This is so great. I have such an amazing kind of attachment to this episode and to the book now, because the book was great too. If you haven't read the book, I just read it this year, I think for my first time. I'm not sure if I've ever read it before. I don't think I did. But when I read it this year to do a review here on the channel, I was obsessed. I thought it was great. One of the best slappy books ever. But this episode, in my very honest opinion, is probably the best and possibly the most high budget of all of the Goosebumps TV episodes. I think it's amazing. I genuinely think it is one of the best children's horror properties ever. Not Goosebumps, but Night of the Living Dummy 3. Well, Goosebumps possibly too. But this episode, I think, is the best example of how you can do children's horror, and it can affect both adults and children, in my opinion. This was so good. I watched it again for like the millionth time on this DVD copy. I have seen this episode so many times, whether it be renting it at the store years ago, or whether it be buying it on this DVD, or not buying it on this DVD. I've had this DVD since I was a child, like 2004 or 5. But even so, I have watched this DVD over and over and over again. I adore this episode. It's amazing. Honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, before I get into the review and the plot, I'm not going to spoil anything, but when I get into all these things, I have to be honest with you. If you have not read either the book, or you've not seen the episode, or you've done one and not the other, check it all out. You cannot go wrong with Night of the Living Dummy 3. All of it's great. The book, the TV episode, all of it. It's all great. Where to start with this? I guess I'll start with the plot. It's hard for me to talk about this without getting kind of emotional. My cousins and I were obsessed with this episode. We were obsessed with ventriloquist dummies at the time when I was growing up, or when we were growing up. There was a cousin who's a year older than me, and then a cousin who's a year younger than me, actually. And we were obsessed, man. I had a ventriloquist dummy collection because of this show at the time. I got rid of most of them, but I had them at the time. I got one like every Christmas or every birthday. They were like the cheaper, really cheap ones, like $70 and $80, sometimes $50 if you could get one that wasn't really well known. I had like Charlie McCarthy, I had Danny O'Day, I had Howdy Doody, who's also in this episode, by the way, but he has blonde hair for whatever reason. I guess a copyright thing. I don't know. I'm still getting over a cold, by the way. I'm still trying to get around that. But honestly, this is so good. I have so many nostalgic memories towards this, just like I do with like Spider-Man the Animated Series, or like the first Toy Story film, or the original Star Wars trilogy, or the Star Wars prequels. There are some things that I do not care if they have flaws. And this does. This has flaws. It has campiness, it has silliness and fun, but it also has atmosphere, creepiness, eeriness. I genuinely think this holds up, and I genuinely think it can scare adults, honestly. Every time I go to watch this, I think of my grandparents' old house years and years and years ago, like 15 years ago. And it was actually the house that my cousins and I hung out in all the time to play with our ventriloquist dummies and stuff. But I always feel like this house in this episode that the family lives in, on the inside, the interior looks so much like that old house my grandparents lived in. For me, at least, from memory. You know, probably not in reality, but for me, in memory, it does. I think that's why this hit me so well when I watched this show. Even now, I think it just hits me in a way that makes me miss my childhood more and more. More than any other Goosebumps item or book or episode can. This is so good. Anyway, there's a brother and sister named Dan, or Daniel, and Trina, and essentially their dad is a huge obsessee with ventriloquist dummies. He kind of does it as like a side job type thing, I believe. And one night he comes home, kind of wakes everybody up making so much racket, going upstairs to the attic where he keeps his ventriloquist dummy collection on a bunch of like couches and sofas and big chairs and stuff like that to rest in. He got a new one, right? He got home, he put it up, and it was broken and everything, so he got it like next to nothing, for next to nothing. And this dummy is called Slappy. It has red hair, it has some creepy eyes. It's one of the scariest ventriloquist dummies I've ever seen in my life. Still gives me nightmares to this day. Does not look like that Slappy dummy back there that I have. It is genuinely scary looking. I don't know what it is about that thing, but I love it. It's horrifyingly scary, but I love it, like I said. They find a business card type thing inside of his pocket, and the daughter, Trina, reads it out loud. And all the weird things start happening, like the lights start flickering, and the wind blows real hard through the window that happens to be open for whatever reason. This, by the way, feels like a summertime type thing, even though I know they're talking about going to camp and stuff, so it may or may not be taking place in like the spring, I don't know, but it feels like summertime. Every time I read this or watch this, it feels like summertime. There's people drinking lemonade, people mowing the grass, all kinds of stuff like that. It just looks and feels in texture like a summer type thing. If you want something really good to watch during the summertime, this is it. This is one of those things I always watch during the summertime, like Jaws. I wouldn't watch Jaws during the wintertime. Same thing with this. I would always watch this during the summertime, and I still try to keep that tradition to this day. For myself. There's certain things that I have been watching every single year since I was a kid, just for the sake of doing that, because I love it and I think it fits a certain time of the year. There's a Billy and Mandy episode called Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween that I watch every single Halloween. I have for 15 or 16 years now on the DVD copy that I have. Do the same thing with this at summertime. It's so good, so fitting for that time of the year. But anyway, they find out after this weird little incident with the lights and all that, their mom and dad has invited their cousin Zane over, and they can't stand their cousin Zane. These kids and this whole family in general, including the parents, they like to prank each other. They like to be practical jokers and everything. They're just like that. They're just one of those families that are just kind of cruel to each other, but not in like a horribly mean way, but they just like to mess with each other. Zane is not like that. Zane is very different. He's a very different type of child. He's very protected. He's very scared. He's afraid of everything. If you look at him wrong, he'll probably pee himself. So this is where it really gets weird for me. About 2 years ago, I found out something that I did not know that really turned my world upside down. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Star Wars. I wanted to be Luke. I wanted to be Anakin. I wanted to be Darth Vader. I wanted to be everybody. Now, I grew up, like I said, I was born in '94, so I grew up on like the prequel era Star Wars, and I grew up on the original trilogy. I'm a huge fan of both of those eras. I adore them. I did not know until about 2 years ago that Hayden Christensen played Zane, the cousin, in this episode. Did not know it. Zane is played by Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars Episodes 2 and 3, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Two of the big ones that came out when I was a kid. I saw all three prequels in theaters when I was a kid. But those two were some of my favorites when I was a kid. I had so many toys. I still have so many toys and lightsaber toys and all that stuff from those two specific movies. That whole fact, that whole piece of trivia turned my whole world upside down when I realized how close these two properties are related for me, as obsessed as I was with both. It's weird. It's real weird. Yeah, I don't know how to even react to that sometimes when I think about it. It's real odd. It's like the coincidence of tomorrow being July 20th and it'll be the anniversary for this coming out like 22 years ago. Real weird. But, so these kids are told by the parents not to prank this cousin, Zane, played by Hayden Christensen. And so they try not to. They try not to be too mean. They might make a little comment or a little joke here or there. But it kind of goes bad. Zane has a new interest in photography, and some things start happening around the house that may or may not be tied back to the new ventriloquist dummy that the dad got in. Now, I won't spoil anything else for you. I may kind of give a couple of things away when it comes to that plot about whether the dummy is involved or not, but it's more of commentary on filmmaking aspects, whether it be the actors or the directing or anything like that, to really get across my point of why this is so good. Goosebumps is not typically made with a very high budget. The TV episodes just weren't. They feel very cheap. This feels very cheap, but it also feels campy and great. This feels so much higher budget-wise compared to every episode I've ever seen of Goosebumps. Now, I have not seen all of them, so I could be wrong about that, but to me, from what I've been exposed to, I think this is the highest budget Goosebumps episode, or at least the most well-utilized budget that I've ever seen. It's so low budget, and it's so just amazing. I don't have words. It is genuinely scary at times. It's genuinely hilarious and funny. It's genuinely bad at times. There are times that you'll have, like, some of the worst CGI that has ever existed in film or otherwise, and yet then in the same scene or the next scene you'll have something genuinely scary. It could be something as simple as somebody dressed up like a dummy, like in a costume, and it's supposed to be the real dummy in the movie or anything, but it's genuinely scary. In my opinion, to this day, it's still some of that stuff genuinely gets to me. I don't know what it is. And then the music is great for the episode, as always with Goosebumps, but specifically here, they have some really great horror music for this that I love. Even the scenes of just the shots outside of the house, the music is great. The sound effects are amazingly well done. Surprisingly, the sound design and all that really works. Really impressed me a lot. The casting for everybody was great. Again, Hayden Christensen has kind of a weird job. He's supposed to play an afraid kid all the time. In his character, Zane. But the brother and sister, Daniel and Trina, they're casted great. I really enjoyed them. The parents are hilarious. I love the dad. I genuinely love the dad with the ventriloquist dummy obsession. Then you have the person who's playing Slappy, the ventriloquist dummy. The new one. That voice actor is a thing of nightmares, because he can be absolutely hilarious one second and say something like, you know, spit out a lemon-flavored cloth that's been stuffed in his mouth and say something like, I hate lemon, and then the very next second he's genuinely scary running across the room and just laughing. That giggle, that laugh, everything about this Slappy terrifies me. And I will say this to this day, and I will always argue this and always firmly believe this and always push against it. A lot of people tell me that they prefer the book Slappy, the TV Slappy, or the movie Slappy, because the two movies kind of have the same type of Slappy. I will always defend the fact that I think this is the best Slappy ever put anywhere. And the thing is, he doesn't even act like the one from Night of the Living Dummy 2, that episode adaptation. That one's a little bit different and a little bit less mean than the one we got here in 3. And so much is the fact that then when Series 2000, that whole era of Goosebumps came out and they made the Bride of the Living Dummy book into an episode, that Slappy feels like this Slappy and not the one from episode, or from Dummy 2, whatever you want to call it. This Slappy is genuinely creepy. I love the voice acting. I think everything about it's great. I think the puppeteering is great. I think the costume's great when they have like a midget dressed up as Slappy. This episode has so much to offer, guys. Everything from the set to the house that they shot in and outside of, all that stuff. Just the whole location's beautiful. I don't have any words to describe to you how well utilized this budget is. Again, this might be the highest budget Goosebumps episode ever. I don't know. But I love this. I genuinely think that it is one of the best things I've ever watched in my life. And to this day, like I said, it's not perfect by any means. It has some giant flaws. Some giant, like, filmmaking no-nos. And yet, I adore it. And it's not just out of nostalgia. It's like, this is genuinely a charming children's property, in my opinion. A charming children's episode of a TV show for them. It's so good. It's done in such a way that there's no words to describe. You'll never see anything written or done like this ever again for children's TV or Goosebumps or anything like that. You'll never see it hit this enjoyable camp ever again, in my opinion. It's so good. It is so, so good. Was there anything else I wanted to mention about this episode? I don't think there was. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else I wanted to mention because I don't want to spoil too much for you guys. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in the episode I don't want to spoil for you. And again, it's a two-parter, so it's like 45 minutes long in total if you have the DVD copy like I have, or if you have the VHS tape, which I plan on getting at some point soon. Just for nostalgia's sake, because again, I think I saw this for the first time ever on VHS. I don't think they had DVDs at that time when I experienced Goosebumps for the first time. I think we started playing DVDs and having a DVD player at my parents' old house in like 2001 or 2, and I think the first DVD we ever got was like Daddy Daycare or something like that. But this is great. This is genuinely great. If you have not seen Goosebumps Night of the Living Dummy 2, or 3, excuse me, I think this was the season finale of season 2, I believe. Pretty confident. If you have not seen this, you're missing out. If you haven't read the book, you're missing out. This is excellent. Everything about it's excellent. Again, it's not perfect. There are some bad filmmaking no-nos. But when it comes to Goosebumps, the TV show, since that's what this whole channel is based around for me, is Goosebumps. I'm talking about quality in the sense of what we got over the years. This episode, or these episodes, it's a two-parter. If I had to rate these, or this, on a 5-star basis, let's say, I would easily and without any guilt whatsoever give this a 5 out of 5 stars. I adore it. I think it's amazing. I think this is the best Goosebumps ever got, whether it comes to the newer movies from 2015 and 2018, whether it comes to the old show. Doesn't matter. When it comes to the books, I think this is the best thing ever done. Not the book of the episode. You know what I mean? I think this is the best thing ever put out by Goosebumps, ever. And I'll always stand by that. As much as I love certain things like Goosebumps Wanted the Haunted Mask, this tops that for me. It really is. I love this. I could not tell you how many memories I have attached to this DVD in particular because I've had it for so long. I'm pretty sure my grandparents bought it for me too. Not the same ones that have the house that, or had the house that looked like the one from this episode, but the ones I've always lived with pretty much. It's such a great episode. Please check it out. If you haven't seen it before, you need to see it. If you're not even a fan of Goosebumps, just check out this two-parter. I'm telling you, you will probably love it. I genuinely think it'll be one of your favorite things you've ever watched. Because again, it's so charming in the way it's made that I think adults and children can enjoy this. I think both can be creeped out by it. But you'll have a great time whether you're making fun of it or whether you're watching it. It's great. It is so good all around in every way possible. Even the cinematography is good in my opinion. It's very, very cold looking. And then you have sets like the attic that I'm pretty sure is the one used for Welcome to Dead House, the TV episode adaptation of the book. It's so great. I just love it so much. I don't have any words. If you can't tell from the way I talk about this episode how much I'm passionate and loving this episode all the time, all of my life, I don't know what else I could do to prove that to you. I adore it. So, what are your thoughts, guys, on my review? What are your thoughts on the episode, on the TV show in general as a whole, as Goosebumps as a whole, all of it, TVs, episodes, books, movies, all that stuff? What are your thoughts? Put them down below. What do you think about this episode? Do you think it's the best episode ever of Goosebumps? Do you think it's one of the top 5 for you? Do you think it's the worst, potentially, which is really hard to imagine? What do you think? Put your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope to get a couple more episodes reviewed sometime this week. I don't know if I'll be able to, but God willing, I'll try. I don't know. I'm going to try, but I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today. And 5 out of 5. Check it out. Goodbye.